Hey, welcome to my art journaling channel. My name is Kristina and I share my art journal processes here. I chose to use this pattern paper set from Stamperia called Flower Alphabet. I love using pattern paper in my pages. I picked out this tag from the paper because I really like the colors on it. This inspired the color palette that I'm going to use with Distress Oxide sprays. To start the background, I rip up the other paper I previously pulled out. I used to have a fear of ripping or cutting pattern papers because they are so beautiful as is, but now it has become my favorite thing to do. There is no specific way I ripped up these papers and no pre-plan for the placement. I am just going with the flow here. Another tool in my most used art supplies is a bone folder. This tool is so handy for smoothing down papers. Once I have glued everything down, I cut any of the overlay around the edges of the pages. Here I am prepping my pages with clear gesso because I'm going to be using a lot of water, so this helps to seal everything. Adding texture is a great way to add more dimension to the spread. Here I am using a crackle texture paste, but there are many different ones you can use, like a sandy one, a gloss one, clear, or just a regular smooth paste. Depending on your stencil design, you can get some really great dimensional textures. This stencil has a more open design, so because I'm using crackle paste, I will get some more prominent crackles than if I used a finer design stencil. Make sure to put your stencil or whatever tool you use in water or wash it right away so the paste doesn't dry onto them. So here is my inspiration paper tag again. I am going to focus on only using these colors. Even though these Distress Oxides are sprays, I like to sometimes use them with a brush. When you spray the page with water first and then apply some Oxide sprays, you can make the ink flow. Moving the page or book around also helps with getting the ink to flow through the stenciled texture. The darker the ink color, the more prominent the stencil design and crackle will become. I dry between each layer because I find it does help with not having the colors blend together as much. first color I used, which is Speckled Egg, because I felt like it got lost. I am reapplying in some areas, and then I'll add more to the open space that's left because I do want this color to be the dominant one on the spread. I found that the spray version of Speckled Egg did not cover as evenly as I wanted it to, so I switched to using the ink pad, where I will get a smoother, opaque coverage. I felt like the green was too intense when comparing it to the colors on the tag. To soften it, I just used the same ink pad and Speckled Egg to soften the green color. I really like adding a darker color around the edges of the pages. I don't do this every time, but when I do, it gives the spread like a framed look. I chose a similar color to the one on the pattern paper to blend everything together. This spray is called Moonshadow Mist from Lindy's. They are a walnut brown toned ink with different colored shimmery mica in them. This one is called Burnished Brass because it has a golden toned mica in it. I love using this spray as the final touch to the stencil texture paste because the brown toned ink will make the design stand out even more, and the mica will sit in the creases, creating a really cool shimmery effect. A really cool effect you can get with Oxide inks is when you spritz it with water and they react. So now that the inking is done on the background, I add some stamping. I chose this crackle stamp to continue the design on the papers. There is already a crackle look on the pattern paper, so I am just bringing that into the areas that don't have any to unify everything. Die cuts are such an awesome addition to an art journal. The butterflies are cut with my Cricut electronic cutting machine, and the feathers are metal dies from Jane Davenport. I am continuing with a chosen color palette by using a combination of pink tones. These first two lighter pink colors will be the first layer on these butterflies. The second layer will be using a resist effect and darker tones of pink. Distress Microglaze is such a great product for resist effects, as well as using it to seal ink to become waterproof. I sometimes use this for sealing my journal pages. It does not have a greasy residue at all. You won't really see the microglaze until you spray another color on top, so it is always such a cool surprise. It's best to stay within a color family to avoid mixing colors that make brown when using this technique. The second two pink tones really create a tone similar to the color of the flowers on the inspiration tag. I blot the die cuts to remove the ink sitting on top of the resistant areas, but while drying the ink outside of that at the same time. For the feathers, I spray a combination of green and gray to try to match the color of the feather on the tag. I'm trying to achieve more of a dusty toned green. Now you can see here the colored die cuts next to the tag I'm using for inspiration. I think the colors turned out pretty good. This is totally optional, but edging any papers and die cuts really make them more defined and pop out from the page. It can be a bit tedious, but also can be worth it depending on the look you want to achieve. Now that the background is complete and the die cuts are inked, it's time to glue everything down. When using glue, I use two different types, a liquid and a stick. The liquid I use when I have a very textured background. I use a glue stick for more of the smaller detailed papers because I won't have any issues of the glue bleeding out from under the papers like I would with a liquid. As I mentioned before, bone folders help so much when gluing down papers and die cuts, especially over a textured dimensional background. I always find the papers stick to my fingers and would drive me crazy, but they don't stick to the bone folders, so it is definitely a good addition to your mixed media tools. I am just darkening up the edges of the papers a bit more, focusing mainly on the corners. This is to intensify the framing of the pages a little bit more. These letters were also cut out with my Cricut machine. I think Cricut machines are amazing. You can customize any image and cut to whatever size you want. I love the freedom of that over regular metal dies. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up as it'll help my channel to grow. If you would like to see more, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. Bye for now.